Their daughters could simply vanish. Two beautiful girls, one on the sunny West Coast, one on a snowy road in New England, linked by a mysterious fate. And as Elizabeth Vargas first reported in 2008, linked also by the families determined to find them.
In a time when the whole world can seem ripe with chaos and danger, if you were looking for a safe place to raise a family, chances are it would look like Corvallis, Oregon.
Corvallis is a really family-oriented town. It's kind of the small town feel, but you have a lot of opportunities because of the university. So it's a really fun town.
The town is about 54,000 people, full-time residents. A pretty nice, quiet town. The city of Corvallis is really safe. But we're also in the real world.
On May 24th, 2004, that more dangerous world surfaced in Corvallis when a young college co-ed disappeared in broad daylight. What happened to Brooke Wilberger is a mystery that got national attention. The story began on the grounds of a Corvallis apartment complex managed by Brooke's sister and brother-in-law. Brooke was visiting that week and helping with the maintenance chores.
At that particular time, she was actually cleaning the lampposts around the complex.
When Brooke didn't show up for lunch, her sister Stephanie began to worry. Brooke's car keys and purse were in their apartment. Her car was in the lot, but Brooke was nowhere to be found.
I got very nervous. We had exhausted every possibility. We had searched all of the apartments that she could possibly be working in. We looked everywhere. Then we called the police.
We had received a call about 3 o'clock saying that Brooke is missing. And the sergeant called me and said, we have this 19-year-old girl who's missing and we need you to come out. Normally, we would wait because adults can come and go as they please. And we would normally wait to see if she showed up maybe the next day.
But in this case, police action was immediate. From the very beginning, they sensed Brooke Wilberger was not the sort of young woman to disappear on her own.
It was amazing to us that they acted that fast. And I think one of the reasons was when they immediately just, did a quick check. Brooke was a great kid.
Police learned Brooke was one of 6 siblings in a tight-knit and devout Mormon family.
She taught Sunday school and very active in the church and their social activities, and had gone to church on Sunday, and the day before she was missing.
As their search began, police were also able to eliminate one usual suspect in similar cases, the boyfriend. The man in Brooke's life, Justin Blake, was off on Mormon missionary work in Venezuela. He and Brooke had dated since high school.
We started going out to be in my senior year, and I took her to Les Mis. And like half an hour into it, she asked if she could hold my hand. She was the brave one. And after that, we just turned from best friends into a little bit more. And it was just perfect,
We could not date until we turned 16, and Brooke dated Justin from the second she turned 16. And they were just so fun. She was just so in love with him and just really happy with their relationship.
I was going to propose to her when we were going to get married. We just both sort of knew what was going to happen when I got back from my mission.
The news that would shatter those plans reached Justin in Venezuela, delivered over the phone by his parents.
They just started crying when they heard my voice, and so I just started crying. And then my dad came on and just told me what had happened.
When the news of Brooke's disappearance reached her father, Greg, a chemical engineer, he was about to leave town on business.
I was in the Portland airport on a trip. They called me on my cell phone and told me that she was missing, and so I canceled my trip and got a rental car and came back here.
Greg Wilberger joined the search effort for his daughter that had been organized with unusual speed.
The community of Corvallis was wonderful. That first night, they had hundreds of people helping search. Our church organized it, but everyone in the community filled in, and it was just a massive effort.
There were a lot of areas to search, and some of it very heavy vegetation. In fact, I remember going home at 1 o'clock in the morning, and there were still 300 people doing systematic searches of concentric circles from where Brooke was last seen.
It was just phenomenal, the amount of people that we had looking for her. We looked everywhere. It's just very traumatic because you expect to find something, and as the search wore on, I mean, people were tired physically, and you know, I know that it was just really exhausting and frustrating to not find anything.
We searched till 3 in the morning, the first night, and then after that, you just don't know. You just kind of become sort of numb.
The first night ended with no sign of Brooke. In the morning, the townsfolk of Corvallis would awake to a shock of another sort.
The largest media onslaught that this city has ever seen. So I was pulled away from the patrol duties to the public information spokesperson.
We don't have any suspects developed. We don't have any vehicles we're looking for. And I can tell you, it's pretty frustrating.
The run-of-the-mill response is, they're here now, get them what they need, get them out of here, let us go back to our job and solve this crime. But we had to operate in a whole different paradigm for this investigation because we didn't have anything to go on. So we needed the media to stay here to talk about the case so people would call in tips.
19-year-old Brooke Wilberger was abducted on Monday, May 24th, while working outside of an apartment building.
The case was huge news in Oregon and across America.
And Mr. Wilberger, I know one of the reasons you're here is in case Brooke can hear you.
We just want to tell Brooke that we love her, and we hope that she'll have courage.
By that time, we sort of felt ourselves that somebody had taken her, and we couldn't be there to help her. She was all by herself.
Who took Brooke Wilberger? Authorities say they now know. Stay with us.
When Brooke Wilberger vanished, her family knew within hours and were able to galvanize police and their local community to quickly mount a search. Mara Murray, on the other hand, vanished on the country road far from home. As Elizabeth Vargas tells us, Mara's father, Fred, can't help but think that more could have been done to find her that night. And he's haunted by what might have happened to his daughter, a girl with infinite promise. Here again is Elizabeth Vargas.
The United States Military Academy at West Point is known to accept only the best and the brightest. That's how family and friends would describe small-town Massachusetts-raised Mara Murray.
Never anything but an A all the way from the first grade straight through high school. I was proud. You don't get in there just because of one thing. You have to do almost everything right, you know? You got to be lucky to get in there, too.
Friends say Mora's luck continued when she met older cadet Bill Rausch.
She couldn't stop talking about him, and he had given her a stuffed animal for Christmas, which she wouldn't put down, and just her face would light up every time someone mentioned his name.
I'd say I probably was more the lucky one. She's so easy to really just love and to care about. She's so sweet, sincere, and adorable. Very spontaneous, adventurous, definitely just gorgeous.
He said, "Mom, I've met the most phenomenal girl. I can't wait for you and Dad to come up and for you to meet her." And we fell instantly in love with her.
Mora decided she wanted to study nursing and left West Point for the University of Massachusetts.
Say hi.
Bill graduated West Point, was stationed in Oklahoma, but distance only seemed to deepen their commitment.
She was planning on going out to Oklahoma for the summer of '04 and part of her nursing program, and she was going to get a job at a hospital in Lawton, Oklahoma, and do part of her internship there. We both knew where we wanted to go in the relationship. Actually, marriage had been in the air for quite some time.
What Bill Roush describes as the solid ground of their relationship was shaken one February night. He got some news he immediately passed on to his parents.
I answered the phone, and I heard panic in his voice, and he told us just very quickly, you know, I just got a phone call from Mara's family, and her car's been found abandoned in New Hampshire. I was just really panicked.
For reasons she apparently shared with no one, on February 9th in 2004, Maura Murray left her dorm in Massachusetts and drove some 130 miles into New Hampshire. The car she was driving was found in the middle of the night, in the middle of nowhere.
At some point, she reached Route 112 in Haverhill.
Joe McGee reported the story for the Patriot Ledger in Quincy, Massachusetts.
At a hairpin turn, she went off the road. Her car hit a tree.
The accident was serious enough to put the car out of commission, but one from which Maura could walk away.
It was probably the last place that anybody would want to be lost. It's cold, it's desolate, it's barren, and it's very dark. At that point, a person came along who was driving a bus. It was a neighbor. He had been taking tourists to skiing in the area that day. He asked her if she needed help. She refused.
She told him that she had called AAA, that she was all set, and she had a wrecker coming. But in that area of New Hampshire, cell phones don't work, so she had not made that call.
In the dark of night, it's conceivable that Maura was afraid to accept a ride from a strange man in an empty bus. The last person, as it turns out, known to have seen her.
Now, police have said they've questioned him continually, and they don't consider him a suspect.
The bus driver and neighbors across the street from the scene both called 911 to report a young woman stranded on Route 112.
About 10 minutes later, police showed up to the scene, and Maura Murray was gone.
News of that night's events reached Maura's father when police called at 4 p.m. the next day.
My immediate reaction when I found out that my daughter was missing was right at the edge of panic. You found her car, she was in an accident, she's not there, where is she? Where is the search now? How far have you looked now? As it turns out, there was no search.
Certainly, if Maura had been a juvenile, there would have been different alerts. In this case, the initial conclusions at the scene was that Maura had probably left on her own free will.
But a day and a half later, with still no sign of Maura, authorities investigated further.
They brought out helicopters, ground crews to search the area, and dogs, but two things stood out. Number one, there weren't any footprints left in the snow. And number two, dogs lost their scent about 100 yards away from the scene. According to police, there were no signs of a struggle or any other evidence like that.
The police told us there was no evidence of foul play, that she was running away from everybody. You know, she's starting over. She's starting a new life, and in their words, she's 21 and she has that right.
I kept hearing, well, she's an adult and she can do anything she wants. And I was the only one out there, walking up and down the street, looking over snowbanks, trying to find footprints, trying to find some sign of her.
Just putting, boots on the ground and getting out and, with several people driving all over the countryside and passing out flyers.
Bill Roush joined the search for Maura. He got an emergency leave from the Army to help find the woman he planned to marry.
Wherever she was going, and I don't know, and to be honest, I don't even have a best guess specifically. That was interrupted by her sliding off the side of the road. And at that moment, circumstances changed.
She's completely at the mercy of any type of person that drives by. And I'm afraid that some bad guy came by and harmed her, did something to her.
For all of us that love Maura, life is like a nightmare. I feel like she's my own daughter. I can honestly, say that I can't imagine loving anyone that's not my child any more than I love Mara.
Three months later, as Maura's disappearance lingered without answers, her family saw reports of another missing young woman, this one in Oregon, Brooke Wilberger.
The community rallied around and they were doing all these line searches, you know, something that Mara never had. And I remember thinking, well, thank God they're out there looking for this young woman.
The two families from opposite sides of the country, but with a tragic common ground, comforted each other.
And we talked about our faith in God and, you know, that we would not give up hope, you know, and that Brooke and Mara were in God's hands.
When we come back, where was Mara Murray going that night? Was she planning to ever return?
It was clear from a search of her room that she had packed her belongings.
When 2020 continues. The searches for missing co-eds Brooke Wilberger and Mara Murray continue. The two families, though 3,000 miles apart, share the same hope that they will find their daughters and the same sense of shock. How could this have happened to the girls who had everything in the world to look forward to? Once again, Elizabeth Vargas.
When she arrived at Utah's Brigham Young University, freshman Brooke Wilberger had no trouble making friends.
Brooke was so much fun, embodied just a wonderful, great spirit.
She was also beautiful. Like, she was the definition of beauty for me, on the inside and out.
This is my home! Yay!
On the semester break after her first year, Brooke went home to Oregon. One day that May, she left a phone message for her mother.
Hey, Mom, this is Brooke. If you get the message, give me a call because I just want to know if when you guys were getting home, if you've already eaten, haven't eaten, if you want me to make something. Anyway, give me a call. Okay.
Hi, Mom. What do you want for dinner? What would you like me to fix? And that's just the kind of girl she was.
It was the day after that phone call that Brooke Wilberger disappeared.
The first week was, we were just getting inundated with leads, which is exactly what we wanted. We didn't have anything else to go on, so we needed the leads.
We had the hope that Brooke would come back alive. We had the hope that some lead would turn into something substantial.
The family knew that to find Brooke, police would have to find whoever took her. It looked like they might have when a man named Sung-Koo Kim was arrested in Corvallis just a week after Brooke vanished.
Kim faces charges for breaking into college girls' dorm rooms and also stealing their underwear.
I'm sorry, I'm not at liberty to talk about it.
We had people who on the team thought that, yeah, Mr. Kim was the person. And we had people on the team who thought, no, we don't believe he is.
Thank you very much, Holly.
It turned out Sung-Koo Kim was not involved. He was just a fleeting person of interest. Police say there have been 50 of them, none the person who took Brooke Wilberger from her family.
So we just tried not to think of any anger, tried not to deal with that. Our whole objective has been to find Brooke.
As leads went nowhere and the months went by, press attention faded, and the family was left alone with their dwindling expectations and their worst fears.
My oldest daughter, 5-year-old at the time, I think we were making cookies or something like that, and she said, you know, Mom, I think that someone probably killed Aunt Brooke. And I said, you know what, I actually think that too. Because at some point, you know, reality sets in.
In that period when hope for any resolution fades, no one could have known that the major break in the case was just over the horizon. In New England, the family of missing University of Massachusetts co-ed Maura Murray is running through the same gauntlet of emotions. Maura's parents are divorced and her mother Lori is battling throat cancer. Maura's father Fred is battling the system.
And it's pretty much all I can think of. And I wake up thinking about it. And I'm thinking about it when I go to bed.
Still, years after Maura vanished, Fred Murray often travels from Massachusetts to roam the New Hampshire area where his daughter was last seen.
Good luck to you, sir.
Thank you very much.
I had to stop to say hi.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. I definitely get a lot of that. Everybody is sympathetic, and they would help if they could.
My daughter, named Maura Murray, she was a
Fred
girl
Murray has become his own detective, doing an amateur version of the investigation he says police never did.
No police went up and down the street asking people. These neighbors weren't asked about what they saw that night for about 10 days, and that was only after the family started, screaming about it.
There are literally thousands and thousands of hours that have been dedicated towards coming up with, what happened to Maura Murray.
Authorities have done several searches, including a major effort 5 months after Maura vanished. They say it's still an active missing persons case, and therefore standard policy prohibits their sharing of documents or findings with Maura's father.
This bugs the hell out of me.
I don't agree with some of his observations, but I understand certainly his frustration in not knowing what happened to his daughter.
It was frustration, heightened by some police theories that Maura's family could not believe.
It's clear to us it was her intention to at least get away for a certain period of time. Several times a year, we'll investigate cases where people came to the mountains for the purposes of getting away from whatever their problems may have been, and sometimes with the intention of harming themselves.
She didn't just wander into the woods to try to commit suicide. She has everything to live for. She was going to graduate in June into a nursing career. She was about to get engaged.
Maura's boyfriend, Army First Lieutenant Bill Rausch, says he got an email from Maura the morning before she disappeared, saying that she loved him.
It was in response to a voicemail I'd left her, that I'd, missed her and loved her and was anxious to talk to her again. And her email was basically in a reply to that, basically saying that she loved me and that she wanted to talk, but we'd talk later.
Those closest to Maura have no idea what drew her to that lonely New Hampshire road.
I can discard reports on her being suicidal or depressed because I discussed things with her on a daily basis. I mean, things were great. Things were really great.
Investigators say she'd taken along some books, clothing, jewelry, and the stuffed animal Bill had given her. What further surprised the family were some things police and reporters found that she'd left behind.
It was clear from a search of her room that she had packed her belongings and had intended to leave school.
She didn't tell anybody where she was going other than emails she sent to professors saying that there had been a death in the family and that she needed to leave unexpectedly.
There had not been a death in the family. So it was a clear indication to law enforcement and the investigators that it was her intention to leave. Why she chose or arrived in the Haverhill, New Hampshire area at this point is an unknown.
I don't know why she went to New Hampshire. I don't know why she left the University of Mass. But it doesn't matter why, because once she had the accident, she's introduced a whole new set of variables.
There's so many uncertainties that we just really can't grasp hold of. And when I tell a story about my girlfriend, I mean, am I telling the story about my ex-girlfriend? Am I telling the story about my former girlfriend, my current girlfriend? It is difficult, but the fact still remains that right now she's not here, and it doesn't seem likely that she will ever be here. So.
Hope doesn't fade. That's what I live for, without hope that I might see her again, and it's the bottom drops out for me.
When we come back, Mara's father turns up the heat on the investigation.
He just basically approached the governor in the middle of a meeting.
Hi, my name is Fred.
He said, I want answers and I want them now.
And the case of Brooke Wilberger is about to take a dramatic turn.
Is anybody alive?
Because police know something they haven't revealed.
The operator of this type of a van may have tried to lure women or girls to the van.
Stay with us. It's been almost a year since Mara Murray and Brooke Wilberger disappeared. As police continue to follow up on leads, they get a break in one of the cases. Meanwhile, the girls' families cling to hope. Here again, Elizabeth Vargas.
Seeing each other every day and holding each other every day, we planned on that and we looked forward to that. We never really got to start that. We never got to come home to one another.
On the Tuesday night that Maura Murray's boyfriend Bill Rausch and his family learned she'd vanished in New Hampshire, they thought Maura would show up any day with an explanation, and they had planned a welcome home.
Mara loved Diet Mountain Dew, and she's the only person that I've ever known of that would use red licorice Twizzlers as a straw. You know, so we bought her a package of red Twizzlers and Mountain Dew, Diet Mountain Dew, and I'd say they were over a year old before one day Bill said, I can't keep this here. It's too painful of a reminder. We have no more answers than we did, you know, that Tuesday night.
In a desperate search for answers, Maura's father went to the New Hampshire state capitol on the one-year anniversary of her disappearance.
Hi, my name is Fred.
There was a guy who was on a quest to find his daughter, and he just basically approached the governor in the middle of a meeting with a phalanx of cameras. He charged in, knocked on the door, and said, I want answers and I want them now.
I did meet with Mr. Murray.
He got a closed-door meeting for about 10 minutes with the governor that day. The governor said, you know, I'll do all I can to turn over all that we know about your daughter's disappearance, but it actually turned out that they wouldn't release those documents to Fred.
They essentially told me, we can't comment on an ongoing investigation. They won't tell me anything, they never have, and that's why I'm pleading with them.
I don't think I can appeal again. I don't think there's a way to do it. But one frustrating thing here is, I mean, rumors keep coming forth. And I heard one very recently. I don't know whether the state police ever followed up on it. And without the release of the records, I don't know whether we can rule that in or out. That kills me. It kills me.
What could anyone expect when their child is missing? You know, my suitcase went missing yesterday, but I was out of sorts. And because no one would help me. And if your child goes missing and no one will help you, are you supposed to stay calm?
It seemed to Fred Murray that few people believed his feeling that Maura may have met with foul play, but someone who could help had been watching.
I've been following the Maura Murray case since it occurred. I saw it in the newspaper, and as time went by, continued to monitor what was going on.
Former police chief Tom Shamshak is part of a group of private investigators who offer pro bono help in situations that capture their interest. They took on Maura Murray's case.
We offer a fresh set of eyes, and we've re-interviewed anybody who had contacted the Maura Murray site. We have gone to the site where she disappeared from. I mean, it was 30 degrees at night, a darkened roadway on a rural highway, and she just vanishes. It appears, just based on what I have reviewed with the other investigators from New Hampshire, Maine, and Vermont that are part of the team, that this is something beyond a mere missing persons case. Something ominous could have happened here.
No longer a single voice in the wilderness, Fred Murray had gotten professional confirmation of his fears that Maura may have been abducted, which means she also may have been murdered.
It's haunting, because I'll go out searching for Mara, and the last thing someone will say, well, good luck. But good luck was, I know what they mean well, thanks. But for good luck, that would mean I'd find my daughter's body.
In Oregon, as the years have gone by, Brooke Wilberger's family all but accepted the likelihood she is never coming back alive.
Our great hope was that we would know what happened, that we wouldn't have to go the rest of our lives without ever finding Brooke or ever knowing anything.
The frustration is that you just have to wait. You can't do anything.
Is anybody alive? I think we're fine.
The family tried to keep interest in Brooke's case active.
The family, they're here to answer your questions afterwards. If you want an update on the case, the investigation, I'll be glad to stick around.
On the first anniversary of her disappearance, the Wilbergers and Lieutenant Ron Noble held a press conference.
First of all, we did have so many requests as the anniversary of Brooke's disappearance approached that we could not meet those requests individually. So that's why we called the press conference. We especially wanted to thank the police department and the investigative team for everything that they've done and they continue to do, and for their continued efforts to find Brooke.
We did everything. We exhausted all of the leads that we had and all of the leads that we developed.
The news was essentially that there was no news, a fact not lost on the reporters.
I believe you've been working full-time on this case, and this is all, we're still sort of at square one.
I do believe that we will resolve it. We will find out what happened.
Looking back, is there anything that you might have changed or done differently early on in the investigation?
We continually go through this process of reevaluating and bringing in people who have gone through this before, experts. We've done that frequently, and we'll continue to do that with whatever resources we can find. It's important to us that we find Brooke.
But Lieutenant Noble was keeping a secret.
I knew something that day that most people didn't, that we were still working on a person that at that time looked like he could be involved.
That lead came from New Mexico. A police officer doing a background check on a man charged with raping a co-ed there noticed the suspect had an active drunken driving warrant in Oregon. The officer called up there to see if they also had any similar unsolved rape cases. He was led to the Corvallis PD.
Without that phone call, we may never have been able to actually discover who'd taken Brooke.
When we come back, police work to piece together the evidence.
The operator of this type of a van may have tried to lure women or girls to the van
and close in on their suspect. Stay with us. Police in Corvallis, Oregon well remember the day Brooke Wilberger disappeared.
It was actually a beautiful spring day in Corvallis, right before Memorial Weekend. It was a nice, quiet Monday morning.
Police say they know a convicted sex offender was driving the Corvallis streets that day. It was the morning Brooke Wilberger set out to clean the lampposts at the apartment complex, where later the first police on the scene found little trace of her.
What they found was just a pail of soapy water with cleaning materials underneath the lamppost that hadn't been cleaned yet. That and a pair of flip-flops out in the parking lot.
Law enforcement now says the man who snatched Brooke from the apartment that sunny Monday may also be a serial killer who preys on blonde and blue-eyed young women. An alert on the FBI website said they were investigating the possibility that he may have killed 3 women in Oregon and assaulted 10 more in 3 states. His name is Joel Patrick Courtney, and when authorities linked him to Brooke Wilberger, he was in prison in New Mexico, awaiting trial on charges that he raped a blue-eyed blonde co-ed there. Corvallis police say the day Brooke vanished, Courtney was due to appear in court some 50 miles away on a drunk driving charge. He called from Corvallis to say he would be late and never showed up. In 1985, Courtney pled guilty to sexual abuse in an Oregon case. He has since changed addresses frequently, authorities say, moving often between states. Police aren't talking about the details they say tie him to the Wilberger abduction, but news reports suggest a green van spotted in Corvallis was an important clue.
A call to 911 identified a van like this one driving erratically just hours after Brooke Wilberger disappeared.
The operator of this type of a van may have tried to lure women or girls to the van.
You won't confirm whether that person's in custody at this point?
No, again, we're not commenting on the status or any of the investigation. We want to make sure that we don't in any way infringe upon his rights or the family's rights, and aren't really discussing any of the links.
Whatever the links or the evidence, they were enough for a grand jury to indict Joel Patrick Courtney for the aggravated murder and kidnapping of Brooke Wilberger.
It's just frustrating that people that have those kind of histories are able to keep on going without.
His first offense was the year Brooke was born.
When he was 19.
So that gives you a picture.
Although police say they have the man who took Brooke, the biggest part of the puzzle is still missing. Courtney has neither admitted nor denied involvement in the case, and Brooke's body has not yet been found.
The frustrating part is just wanting it all to be resolved, you know, to have Brooke's remains and to be able to kind of move on without it having to open up again all the time. We keep hoping we'll have that ending, and it'll bring some peace, I think.
The man who planned to marry Brooke may not be ready to face that ending.
When they do find her, it'll be like admitting it actually happened, you know. And so I guess a small part of me doesn't want her to be found, just so I don't have to deal with it, I guess. But then it'd just be so much better if we did, you know.
I really hope that the Wilbergers find out what happened to Brooke. I've got 4 children of my own daughter. This will be close to me for the rest of my life. Cases like this are life-changing to everybody, and the people's lives who are really changed are Greg and Cammie Wilberger and Brooke's brothers and sisters.
We've had a lot of support, a lot of people, but there are those lonely moments when you are alone because people only understand to a degree.
People talk a lot about moving on, but, you know, it's not really possible. You know, I can't even think about, like, continuing all the dreams we had together, you know? And so it's like just turning and having to go a different direction. They're not moving on.
Acknowledging that she is gone, Brooke Wilberger's high school friends established a college scholarship fund in her memory. Brooke was a freshman at Brigham Young University, and her friends from there say they're also trying to keep her generous spirit alive.
She was just very sincere and very friendly to everyone. Like, she was always like a best friend to everyone, very caring, and really wanted to know more about that person.
She really enjoyed life and lived life to the fullest. So in remembrance of her, if you just take every day, every moment, every second and cherish it, you can't go wrong with that. And that's exactly how Brooke would want it.
This is my home! Yay!
You don't realize till somebody's taken away and out of your family how they fit in.
The place.
And so that's a big piece that misses now, because she was so happy, and like even at school she called us every Sunday night and tell us what she'd done during the week. And
then we'd call several times during the week, too, and just visit.
We don't get those opportunities anymore, so.
Every time we get together as a family, there's always just that underlying sadness. This just has such a bitter, just a really terrible, bitter feeling.
My heart goes out to the Wilburgers. I know they didn't want to hear, you know, that Brooke is no longer living. And just as we never want to hear that Mara is no longer living.
Those who love missing co-ed Maura Murray remain in a limbo where the pain is still laced with lingering expectations.
I pray daily that Mara is living, and my logic tells me that she's not, but my heart won't let me give up hope.
Before this happened, she was that constant in my life that regardless of where I would go and what I would do, none of that